Okay, this is more emails from David Hinkson. This was written on the 14th around a little after noon. So during the fight over WaterOz, as my father and Wesley were destroying it, I tried to get my father to help me build the real GALT motor. Do you remember the book called Atlas Shrugged that was written by Ayn Rand? In this book, she had a character who she created named John Galt, who created the motor that saved the world. Yes, I have invented and drafted the drawings for the real GALT motor. GALT is an acronym for Geometrically Amplified Lateral Toroid. I told Ed about this motor, and his comment was that he could use it politically to help me get out of the country. I then talked to Ron Lee, who works for Ed, about this, and he said he would help me crowdfund it using the U.S. Observer customer subscriber list. Ron is now waiting to go over and take a picture of it. So we finally someone to build it, and when we plugged it in, it created about 150 kilowatt, and it seems to be averaging about 100 horsepower for each 67 kilowatt created. This unit plugs directly into the 220 volt voltage supply, and the current model is only about 11 by 11 by 10 inches square. This means that it would create about $3,600 a month if it was plugged into your power supply. The GALT can also be used to replace the internal combustion engine, including the jet engine and all electric motors. What is most interesting about it is that it needs an AC power supply, but if used as a motor, it actually creates the energy for free that can then go back into the battery. So one of my plans was to someday build a conversion center where we install the GALT into cars directly. It would be really great if we could put one of these GALTs in the future on your church property so that it would earn the money to keep your ministry going, as it would provide a monthly check every month. I don't think he realizes I ain't got no church property. We are now attempting to build a larger model that has a 24-inch rotor. This rotor would earn about $250,000 per month at 5 cents per kilowatt hour. As you know, it has been almost impossible to get anything done from prison, so creating this and making it work from here was a miracle. Dave Hinkson. Okay, that's one email. Okay, I sent David Hinkson a message and I said, "Peace, David. It was a pleasure to talk to you. I will look into getting a 606 area code. 2 questions. How can people place money on your commissary? When was your arrest date? How long have you been in prison? Because of Jesus Christ, Rudy." And here's his response to me. Money can be placed in the system, but you might need to ask Guy. Keep in mind there's a guy named Guy, and he's his trusted friend and advisor. I do not get involved in the financial aspect of things, nor do I get involved in the legal aspect of things. So I asked David, who is your trusted friend on the outside that can handle these things? And there's a guy named Guy. You might need to ask Guy about this and how to get this done. Remember, my business earned money for the whole 12 years before it was bombed. During this period of time, my father kept this Hoyt guy on the WaterOz payroll at $2,500 per week. Wesley was milking the cow for the whole 12 years. I knew he was up to no good, but I was forced to give my father my power of attorney as I was in the ADX. Wesley conned Roland and told him that we must not pay the mortgage payment on my house and then my factory. Hoyt convinced Roland, I think Roland is his father, that the IRS would never stop attacking, so we need to have all my properties go into foreclosure. Wesley then got Betrayal Jackson, who was still working for me, to go out and create a new company and create a DBA called, what's a DBA anyway? Called the Clearwater Solutions. Now Betrayal would answer the phone WaterOz, and then he would take the order and then put the money in his account. Slowly during the next few months, he stole enough money to purchase all of my property during the upcoming planned auction for the foreclosure. Using my stolen money, the plan was to seize my property, and then they already had my customer list, and this gave them everything. But the problem the whole time was my trust and corporate ownership. so they needed to have a foreclosure done so they could steal everything. Wesley would send me talks that he gave in the Mormon church about how great he was and how he was saving me. He is the sole reason that I'm sitting in prison for all these years. I think Wesley Hoyt is his lawyer. He now calls him Weshole. Weshole gave my father an affidavit that stated that he witnessed the Judge Talman having an ex parte meeting with Joe Swisher before he testified, and this would have released me on the spot. Then, when I told Hoyt that I had alibis, he told me he had filed a motion for alibi. Later, he said it was a verbal motion for alibi. Really? I guess telling them, hey boys, he was overseas and not in Idaho, and the witness was in a coma in a VA hospital, is really doing something to help me? In summary, here he went and said to them, hey, you need to add more murder for hire. In summary, here he went and said to them, hey, you need to add more murder for hire for January, as this is when Mr. Swisher was out of the hospital. I told Weshole that I knew Mr. Swisher was in a coma in the VA hospital before the trial ever started, as Mr. Swisher Laboratory was hired by my office manager, Jerry Gray, to do the testing for FDA compliance. And he stopped doing the testing as he was in the hospital, and my secretary would call his wife every week for this whole period of time to find out how he was doing. Wesley, told me every step of the way that I was not entitled to see Mr. Swisher's medical records as it was protected under federal law HIPAA. I was always entitled to see those records. And Wesley was lying. My father still believes that Wesley is a good man. This is what caused the fight. In summary, here I had to fire my father from the power of attorney to get rid of this Hoyt monster. Then my father had Mr. Hoyt file a lawsuit against me in Idaho court under the concept that I was delusional as I was giving someone else my POA, power of attorney. Personally, I would have given the dog catcher my POA to get rid of Wesley. I gave my POA to an electrician friend of mine named Herman Massengale. I can let you talk to Herman if you would like. Anyway, the late Bob Sandberg and Guy Wilson and Herman Massengale showed up with the new POA in hand and seized the WaterOz factory. At this point in time, the workers all ran away and abandoned the building. Guy did the best that he could, and their mission was to pay the mortgage and answer the phone. Guy then hired a guy named Chris Mormon, who was trained in special demolition in the military, and the next day this Chris was seen running from the exploding fireball that swept through the factory. To this day, my father says that Guy started the fire. I had 58,000 square foot of factory. My brother Craig, who joined the Catholic Church and has been a Catholic for over 30 years, asked me who burned the WaterOz factory down, and my comment was, I only know one thing for sure, and that it was burned by a Mormon. I really believe that there is a Mormon organized crime syndicate, and this Judge Lodge is the godfather of the crime as he runs this whole outfit. Note that Lodge is the judge who had the Weavers attacked at Ruby Ridge, and he stole farms up and down the Snake River. See Gordon Kahl's book. He knows Gordon Kahl. Wow. He had the Congressman Hinkson arrested and diesel therapy, see to harass my people. So in summary here, I have to come to the conclusion that there is a cabal up in Idaho of evil federal agents and other players that all go to church at the same place. Wesley Hoyt is a fanatic Mormon. He told me when he visited me in Idaho that the Lord wanted me to die in prison. If you read the trial transcripts, you will find that I fainted at sentencing. The Judge Talman had sentenced me to 43 years, a sentence of death, and I never did any crime, and he did this in front of my children, parents, and wives. So before I fainted, I stated the following: In the name of Almighty God, I curse you will die of cancer, and it will eat, and that the maggots will dine on your flesh, as you are the son of Satan and the leader of Babylon and the most wicked on high. Of course, Hoyt apologized to him and told him I was a spiritual fanatic. I wish I would have been more descriptive, as I was really upset. So this rift between me and my father was totally over Wesley Hoyt. But Roland does not always agree with this concept. I showed more patience in this situation than Job, as I tolerated and tried to believe in what they were doing to help me. But in the end, I concluded that Hoyt is a monster of evil. In conclusion now, I just need to have a little bit of proof that Mr. Swisher was in the hospital during those months, July in 2002, and this would be good enough evidence to get me released. His medical records were never private before the trial, as I was always entitled to see them under the Brady standard. Then Mr. Swisher was put on public trial for stealing the very same medical benefits. So his stay in the hospital when he stole those medical benefits as part of his stolen valor are again public record under this concept. So I have now written 10 FOIA letters and just got them in the mail, and we are just waiting for a return on them. I have now paid my lawyer friend to do the brief under actual innocence, and he is already paid. And we are also waiting for the Dimaya case to get ruled on, as this would release me if they rule correctly. Also, my lawyer friend has now gotten a lawsuit ready to file against Mr. Swisher. We are going to sue him in Idaho under Idaho law for violating my civil rights, and as we can prove that I'm in prison based on his perjured testimony, and we can compel him give us these medical records. So in summary, any senator or any body high up in the government could check out my story and determine that Mr. Swisher was in a coma when they said I hired him to be a hitman. This is as good evidence as using DNA. My story could be their biggest embarrassment. I really would like to let you use my story to help prove what they are doing to others so that my time here will end up helping someone else. I'm sorry about being so descriptive as I tell you what church people are doing, what church people are going to. It is just that I wanted you to know these details for your own consideration, and I wanted you to understand how I feel. There is a phone service called, it gives me a website here, that offers the 606 number for a low price, and it has unlimited minutes. You might give them a ring and see about this. I also asked Guy to get you a 606 number, and he said he would. I have a lot of things to talk to you about, and some of it is not concerning my case, but I don't want to confuse you with too much material too fast, as I don't want to frustrate you. Anyway, keep up the great message and work, and I will call you later today. Your friend in Jesus, Dave Hinkson. Wow. You know, I got to write this down. He wrote about Gordon Kahl, which I thought was amazing. Of course, he's got this Wesley Hoyt lawyer that's a jackass. He's had a falling out with his father. I've got to get a 606 number. There's a lot to digest in this. Okay, he does say that he can receive hardback books. Okay, here's the last letter that I have as of 2:17 p.m. Central Standard Time. Hello, Rudy. My father was my POA, ran my affairs in the same manner as a communist dictator. Here is the point. WaterOz was created overall to help people and to support my efforts. After I went to prison, my father let them change the product in such a way as to make it no longer work. Guy right now is making the product correctly. I met a guy in church named Eddie McClendon. Eddie has met with my father, and my father has given him the keys to my office and building, and Eddie next week is going to be marketing the WaterOz products. I paid for Eddie to go to school to become a paralegal. Eddie is a super Christian, but he and Guy do not like each other. I'm sort of stuck in the middle in this situation. So in summary, yes, I would love your help, and I would love to help support your efforts in any way I can. If there is anything you need from me, I will try to get it to you as fast as possible. I wish in the future to work with you, even if I get out, to help you do what you have been inspired to do. I'm sorry if my opinion about the Mormon Church irritates you. Note that the guy, well, I don't know why it would irritate me. I'm not a fan of the Mormon Church. Note that the guy that was my co-host when I was doing the talk show is named Rod Rimlin. Rod is a great computer programmer and still helps to run my website. His father and/or Guy has more information about all of this. It might be good for you to work with Rod also. Rod has agreed to help Guy with the promotion of a crowdfunding project, so it would seem that everything is coming together. Anyway, about my case, I'm now attempting to get the new evidence that I need from the VA or the Marine Corps. In the next couple of weeks, we are going to file a lawsuit against Mr. Swisher, also to get the exculpatory evidence. Really, all we need to do is show that Mr. Swisher was in a coma in the VA hospital in Spokane when he said that I hired him to be a hitman and I would get released. And remember, the government prosecuted Mr. Swisher for stealing these same said benefits. It was $250,000 just for the hospital bill. Mr. Swisher also was getting $4,000 a month VA disability when he was not even in a war and never had combat, and now a jury found him guilty of his testimony that he said at my trial, and then Lodge in Boise gave him a 1 year and a day sentence and then released him in 2 months. I guess that is how you take care of your rat. It is very sad that so many people are now dead, as I was not there to help them, like Roman, for example. These feds are the real killers and kidnappers, and they do not honor any part of the Constitution. In summary, I'm supposed to spend the rest of my life in prison based on the word of one sociopathic liar, and there is no evidence that I knew him or even met him, as in all reality it was his word as a paid liar against my word. This is where the country is now at. They can truly put anybody in prison and that they want, and there is no honest rules of evidence. Everything is a conspiracy, and if you say you believe in conspiracies, they say you are a nut or delusional. Yet every one of these prosecutions is based on insane conspiracy theories. The theory they have in my case is not even logical and makes no sense. I'm truly a poster child of a political prisoner. I hope that I can help you change this crooked system, and so many other people are suffering here. Note, have you ever looked at the website called Scholars Rescue Fund? This is owned by Bill Gates. But note they don't think that the U.S. has any political prisoners. These people spend a lot of time accusing other countries of what they are doing. What we need to now do is bring what they are doing to light. Please let me know if you have time how I can help your cause. Hold on. He also talked about Dimaya, and he talked about the Scholars Rescue Fund. Man, he gives a lot to digest. I'm still working to get the first large GALT installed and earning some monthly funds. We are close to getting this done. My friend Dennis Chan is also working on this project. Note, Guy has a young man working for him named Jeremiah, who has already built a working model. So we really are on the move. But remember, there is no such thing as perpetual motion, they say. We are not going to ever sell any of these units, as what we really need to do is just sell the energy and raise the funds that are needed to help the good people to do what they have been ordained to do. Every day, I do all that I can as fast as I can. Anyway, I appreciate your time and efforts, and I will call you in a day or two if you have the time to take my call. Your friend in Jesus, Dave Hinkson. Wow. Okay. He's always full of information and full of... he knows about Gordon Kahl. I wrote something down here. I can't even read my own writing. Dimaya case, Scholar Rescue Fund. All right, I'm going to get this uploaded to YouTube. Take care and God bless. And I'll try to post some of these letters on Year of Jubilee as well.